All right, all right, cool. All right, now I'm live in like 3 locations, so I'll let some more people like trickle in. Welcome, everyone. I hope you all are having an amazing Saturday. It is Saturday. Oh God, what day is it? So we're going to talk about GRC, one of my favorite topics. Do we have any big GRC fans? Oh yeah, this is, you know what year this is from? Like 3 years ago, I think, Tom? Mm. I love my VetSec. All right. Hey, everybody on the live stream. If you are catching this and you see the screen up, I am actually at VetSecCon right now. And what I wanted to do is share this live stream with you all. So you can watch it either on LinkedIn, YouTube, or go to VetSecCon, jump in the chat because I'll be monitoring the chat over there versus probably the chat over on my YouTube and LinkedIn. Join the community, have some fun. We're going to be talking about GRC, hacking cybersecurity with GRC. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to turn the screen. So I'm just letting that stream over there, so I have no idea what's happening. It'd be great. All right, welcome everyone. I hope you've had a great couple of days with VetSec. Drop in the chat some things that you've learned and let me know what you hope to learn from this. I did share the presentation. I made some tweaks on it, but it's still relevant. I'm a big, I like to have stuff like that. So use the presentation. Also, ask me questions throughout. I am somebody that likes to take Q&A throughout, but I'll have it at the end. This is all about you. Chris, GRC was my first cybersecurity training. Oh my God, I love NIST. You'll see that on one of the pages. All right, so let's jump into this. Hacking cybersecurity with GRC, your next mission with a twist. And I'm gonna be cruising you through this. I am Jack Scott, and I have military background, still serving. I'm in the reserves now. I've done active duty, National Guard, and I'm about to hit my year mark with the reserves. I've done everything from, I went in for 6 months as a truck driver, best and worst decision ever. The recruiter got me by telling me he was gonna give me a $10,000 bonus if I became a truck driver. Joke was on me, but 6 months later, I went into finance, resource management at the time, did that for about 4 years. And then I went into IT in 2008, which led me into electronic warfare, intelligence operations, did some work with the special ops. And then now today I'm in cybersecurity and I work full time as a cybersecurity consultant in the federal space. I also run, as you might have heard if you were jumping in early, a YouTube channel, and that is called Outpost Gray. Would love if you went over there, followed. Great content, if I might say so myself. And I also have a podcast. It's a joint podcast with one of my dear friends, Erica McDuffie, called Two Cyber Chicks. So we try to put content out every other week over there. And then I've written some books, done some college education, things like that. And I love cats. So that is me. That is me. And I love VetSecCon. This is one conference I try to attend every year. Not only attend, but participate in, because I really believe in what VetSec is doing. So thank you again, Tom, for allowing me the opportunity to speak here. Again, this is just a fun fact. Before I got into speaking, I used to be terrified. I would literally have panic attacks. And I had a friend that reached out to me that saw VetSec. And it was in, I think it was 2020. Yep. And I was terrified. That's actually where I met Ron Warner. And I'm not kidding you. Like I wrote out all of my notes for this talk. I was like, who am I to be up here speaking? So I'm just excited that I have been with you all since 2020 and I get better and better. Plus I love the community. So it's a great community. And if anybody's in the chat that's like considering speaking or maybe is nervous about it, I would highly encourage you to submit your proposal next year and do what you can to support the community. VetSec is in the house. All right, so I love NIST. I should have worn an I love NIST shirt. Big fan of it. And we'll kind of talk into like NIST a little bit because it is very GRC heavy, but that's not all things that NIST does. NIST stands for the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and it covers everything from like aircrafts, like flying, to like cybersecurity compliance stuff. Really oversimplified that. So today's talk, I'm going to teach you how to understand GRC, why it's so important within the cybersecurity space, why you really can't live without GRC, some career opportunities. So at the end of this, I want to give you some tips and tricks on if this is a space you want to get into, how to do it, how to get some hands-on experience in this space without maybe landing your first job, all those things. So it'll be a fun time. Taking a second to look. Ron, you're funny. Thanks, Ron. It is great if you like insomnia. If you're having trouble sleeping, read some Nist. Lisa, thank you. Super excited to see you here. Thanks, Ron, for sharing. All right. Hey, Todd. Todd Manning. Howdy to you too. All right. So what is GRC? So GRC stands for governance, risk, compliance, and in that order. And we'll talk about why that's important to maintain that order. And it really involves, like when I work with clients, it's really getting engaged into their environment and understanding what their baseline cybersecurity is, and then helping them establish policies and procedures is a really big key, but overall processes for them to be able to increase overall cybersecurity maturity. Now, this is a reason why when you hear people, if you've ever heard the saying, compliance is not security. The reason that people will say that is because a lot of the things that we do in this space, doing GRC, is you are helping that client increase overall cybersecurity maturity, right? So in essence, you think, well, then isn't that security, governance, security? Yes and no. There is a gray area there. It really honestly depends on the client. How effective are their policies and procedures? Do they actually follow them? Do they have good patch management, vulnerability management, all of those things that are in place to help them increase overall maturity in the space? But just being good at GRC does not mean that you have a secure environment. So that's why people will say that. And the last bullet is just think of GRC as kind of like the superhero trio that protects your organizations and your most valuable assets, so your HVAs, or you may hear them as crown jewels, from being hacked, in essence. The world of GRC. Really love this space. I didn't mention either, I actually branched into GRC in 2020, 2021. I was actually doing cyber threat intel before this space, but it is still, people will say that GRC is not a technical space. I disagree with that. It is still technical because you are, depending on where you're at, you are looking at controls. You are assessing controls. You need to understand how a network works to be able to understand how certain protocols are taking place to be able to assess them. Just a fun fact. All right, so significance. I love this. Who needs GRC? We've got a SIM. What that means is that a lot of organizations will be like, well, I can see everything in my organization. I have a SIM or a SOC, which are similar but different. A SIM is a way to get data packets in, but a SOC is usually a security operations center. So it is a way to usually have a team of people that monitor. So you don't need a SOC to have a SIM. But typically, and actually you don't need a SIM to have a SOC, because I worked at an organization that did not have a SIM, but they had a SOC and it was a complete mess. But a SIM is just a central point of location where data actually gets fed into. So a lot of organizations will just automatically assume, default, oh, I've got this great tool, I'm safe, why do I need GRC and all of these things? Well, outside of just having that governance piece, so governance means like establishing programs, a governance, and there's a lot of ambiguity within like cybersecurity governance. So I want you to take this away because I've had to learn it. And it was really kind of challenging when I got into working with clients to help them establish like governance models. It's really helping them establish like a cybersecurity committee, for an example, which is a committee that maybe once a month they meet and they talk about current risks within their environment, or maybe how like an update on their vulnerability assessment or their patch management, and helping them establish protocols for them to be able to, again, increase overall cybersecurity maturity. So that's a good way of looking at it. It's also GRC is kind of giving that client like that holistic view of risk and aligning it not only to their security objectives, but the biggest thing here, especially when you're working with clients, is focusing on what is that business impact or that business risk should you have a breach. When you can actually learn that piece, I mean, that is the one way of talking to clients that they will understand typically, is speaking to them about, you can't just say, well, if you get breached, your data is going to be impacted. I mean, we all understand what that means, but most of the time clients need to understand, what is that business impact if their data is exfilled or their data is unaccessible? How are they going to be able to serve the clients? What will that impact be to the organization? Organizations can achieve better visibility, enhance controls, and controls are like NIST framework controls, being able to have better oversight, improve resilience against cyber attacks. And there's actually a NIST framework on cybersecurity resilience on this. But understanding and resilience is not just hoping that the attack doesn't happen, but being prepared for an attack to happen. So when you, and this is what I love about cyber resilience, is that if you can teach a client how to recognize, hey, you might be attacked, it's not if, it's when. So let's prepare you to be able to bounce back as quick as possible and get back to business as usual. That is an outstanding GRC protocol within an organization. And then fortify your digital fortress, safeguard against even the most sophisticated threats. Again, governance is not security. However, if you have the proper protocols in place and your client is actually meeting those standards, doing what they need to do, they will have a good digital fortress. They will have a good policies, procedures established, governance framework established for them to be able to protect their high value assets. All right. Not sure if my data is secure, if I'm just compliant. So you'll hear a lot of jokes around like compliance, and that compliance is a checkbox. So the GRC framework, GRC needs to go in that order. You've got governance for a reason before risk, and then you've got risk, and it's actually, think of it like risk management. That might be an easier way of understanding it. And then from there, you go into compliance. So again, compliance, governance, all of those things are not security. So let's break down each of these. Let's break down governance, then we're going to talk about risk management, and then compliance. All right, so understanding the governance piece. It is the foundation of the GRC framework of anything. And this is an area where I was saying there is a lot of ambiguity. It's not something you can just Google, how do you establish a cybersecurity like governance committee, because the reason for that is it's unique to every environment. So NIST, many of these frameworks will provide you general guidelines, but a lot of the governance pieces, from my experience in working with different federal clients, it's going to be very much specific to their environment. So you have to become, in my opinion, very knowledgeable and very understanding what does government mean. And it does mean like working with that client and identifying what are those policies and procedures that you need to have within your organization to operate effectively and to protect those high value assets. One of those could be, here's an easy one, password management, for an example. Another one, and I'm thinking in my head of like, we are working with a client right now on their governance model, and we're doing policies and procedures, and they have, just to give you an idea, when we went into this client space, it was a state and local client, and this is very common for a lot of organizations, they had nothing in place. So what we did is we started with a CSF assessment, cybersecurity framework assessment through NIST. It is a baseline assessment that is does not require, it's not a compliance requirement for organizations. So it is a way for an organization to assess their baseline cybersecurity against a NIST framework without having like compliance mandates against it. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if I'm confusing you all. So we did a CSF assessment. We went in, we figured out their baseline. By doing that, we were able to identify and create what we call as a gap analysis. From that, that's how we started establishing their governance frameworks. And from that, we gave them a list, and it was literally 35 policies and procedures that they needed. Start with a baseline. Correct, Ron. Start with a baseline. When you go into an environment, I'll take a step back. So if you are wanting to get into this space, when you walk into a client's site, the first thing that you need to ask them is, when was the last time you conducted an assessment? And if it's been, in my opinion, if it's been 2 or 3 years, 1 year, that's not bad. You can look at that. You can take that information. That can help you with your overall assessment. Personally, I would do another baseline assessment using CSF. Yeah, I use CSF as my baseline just for this particular client, Ron, unless they wanted something specifically, but we chose CSF because it's a non-compliance framework, and it was just easy for us to be able to go in and do it. And it has supply chain risk management tied into it, if I remember correctly. So it got the supply chain risk management piece that the new NIST 853 Rev 5 has. CSF, CSS, CSF has it. Good gosh. And I know that CSF 2.0 now has actually a governance, I think, piece to it with policies and procedures. 1.0 did not have that. But anyway, Brad, so great to see you. Okay, so you walk in, ask them when was the last time you did an assessment. If they have not done one, I would highly encourage you and your leadership to stop and do an assessment, because it's going to be extremely hard, and in my opinion, nearly impossible. You're going to kind of be playing whack-a-mole to just walk in and without a baseline assessment and you just start trying to fix things. You need to understand the entire scope. You need to have that gap analysis so then you can fix those gaps. That's the idea behind it. So the key elements of governance include board oversight. That goes into that governance committee. Now, boards aren't possible with every organization. State and local client, for example, they've got 12 people in their org, and those 12 people, it's like a startup. Everybody wears like 5 to 10 hats. To try to create a board on top of all of these other things, it's just not going to be possible. So you have to have some flexibility. Board oversight, though, if you've got the manpower and the organization has it, that is key, because that would go into that like cybersecurity committee I was mentioning to you, because that committee, tying into that next piece, they do those decision makings. They talk about risk, and we'll talk about risk and risk registers as we move along. And then just overall accountability of the environment, accountability of the policies and procedures. Are the procedures being done like an incident? How are those policies and procedures laid out? Have they been tested in a while? Have there been new hires? Do they understand what that process looks like for an incident within the environment? And then an effective governance provides a clear direction. And that's a lot of what I see in this space is you've got to be able to come in, you have to be able to understand their very many times chaotic environment. The client knows they don't have a mature cybersecurity space, but they don't know how to fix it. So it's your responsibility to go in, be able to assess it, and then be able to effectively communicate to them a roadmap, which is part of this, and it's a deliverable that you give to the client to show them this is where you're at right now. And to let you know too, NIST CSF actually gives you a scoring methodology. So you can show them this is where you're at right now. You've got 1s and 2s. You need to be at like a 3 or a 4. And this is how we're going to get you to that 3 or 4 level with this roadmap, the strategic roadmap to get you there. So it will help provide leadership that clear direction to get to a more secure environment. So Todd asks, is the NIST CSF overwhelming for companies without mature GRC policies and procedures? Do you ever use simpler models? I have found, I use all NIST. I have never done like a SOC 2 or an ISO, just to let everybody know. I have done like A123 FISMAs. I have done NIST 853. CSF, in my opinion, is not overwhelming, but it will be based on the team that you have to be able to go in and do it. I think it would be overwhelming if you asked the company to probably conduct that assessment, but I'm basing my feedback on, I had a team that had done assessments before that we went into the environment, and NIST does a great job. They already have like the Excel document with the breakdown, and all you need to do is, not all, but go through their artifacts, what they currently have in their environment, and then you start doing interviews with the client. As far as overwhelming, I did not feel that the client was overwhelmed and there was extremely immature environment. However, I think that given that there was only 12 people, just having the interviews done 1 to 2 times a week, that was what was overwhelming to them, because they did not know like how to answer a lot of the questions. So that was overwhelming. So maybe parts of it, but I don't think there's a way around that regardless of the framework, if that makes sense, Todd. I think one of the things that needs to be done when you're working with these clients is be cognizant of their understanding. A lot of them don't understand a lot of the questions. So provide examples when you're doing these interviews to help them like understand, and maybe put those examples in their environment so they can understand what you're asking. I do. We actually, yes, Ron. So CIS actually has templates, and I can drop those into the chat unless you have them. This might be it. Trying to get over there. Let me see if I can open this on my computer. Okay, there's another. These are good too. I haven't seen this particular like site. I'm gonna bring this over if you guys can see it. Can you see that? Nope, you can't because I'm only sharing my page. What? This is what happens with live demos. Uno momento. Let me get my stop sharing. Okay, share screen. Going back. What am I doing? What am I doing? Okay, I'm doing this. Okay. All right. So we got that. Let me make sure my StreamYard isn't completely. Okay, everybody on StreamYard. Hi. I got 2 people over there. Love that you guys have shown up. You guys are awesome. Evan Barnett and LinkedIn user. Okay, coming back over to you guys. Okay, so okay, this right here, I have not seen this, Ron, but let's do a live demo. So let's actually do one I'm like account management. Okay, so critical security control 5, account management. Oh, does it provide, here we go. This is controls. Yeah, the 18, what is this? V8, learn, tools and resources. Ooh, that's what I was looking for. So that's what we used when we did the CSF. We actually, it was a different portal. I don't have it saved on my computer, but they had policy templates that we utilized when we started going through the policies. And that's what I really like about CIS, because they actually tied them back to CSF. So you could look at the categories and the subcategories and the policies. I don't know if you've seen that, Ron, but yeah, it's amazing. I think let's try this one. I think their templates are awesome. Let's see what this looks like. Maybe this will be, and then I'll jump back in because I know I gotta finish probably on time. Last year I didn't, and I don't know why that's not opening. Let me go back over. Oh, it is opening. It's just taking forever. It's blinking on my end. Okay, let's get back into it. Well, that takes forever to open. I don't know why it's. Oh, hold on. Oh, here we are. Okay, let me pull it over. Go in. Okay. Okay. Now I got the spinning box of. Oh, it won't let me pull it over because it's a window, like a word. What? Yeah. All right. Well, it should let me. Hold on. Let's try this. Boop. All right. Cool. Look at that. I just had to close that. So this is a cool template. This is really robust. A lot of policies are not, depending on the organization. Just to give you guys a heads up, they're not going to be this robust. They're literally going to be 2 or 3 pages, depending on what it is. So you're not going to have like an acknowledgement and stuff. But this is cool. I mean, this is a lot of information. So this is nice. So this gives you kind of an outline right here. Yeah, recorded the enterprise asset identifier, the number, the manufacturer model number. So a lot of information, a lot of resources out there. Definitely go check it out. All right, let me bring up the pres again. Okay. Going back through. All right, we stopped here, moving on, cool. What, I need to stop in like, when am I supposed to end? Is it 12:15? I gotta wrap in like 5 minutes or something. I might keep going, so YOLO. No, I wrap at 12:30, right? What time do I wrap, you guys? Do you know? Oh my gosh, I should have paid attention. Oh, it's been, no, I got time. Woo, we got time. 12:30. What up? What up? Oh, yeah, Tanner. Yeah, 12:30. Woo, woo. All right, cool. Managing risk. Let's talk about this. All right, risk management. So this is so critical. You've got the governance piece. They're all really critical. I'm just going to make them sound like they're all like the most critical, because they are. So managing risk management. You'll see a couple of frameworks that I have here. Again, NIST CSF for this. And then the very last one, NISTR 8286, which talks about enterprise risk management, risk register. So the really important takeaway here for risk management is that you are really within the GRC space, working, again, I'm putting my consulting hat on and working with my clients, is you are trying to figure out the best approach for them to be able to manage risk. So managing risk is being able to have oversight and understanding of the risks in your environment by having like a risk appetite, a risk tolerance. Like, what will you allow? Because everybody has risks. So what is their risk tolerance? What will they be able to allow within their environment or accept within their environment? And then their risk tolerance for that. Why those are important is because leadership needs to make not just decisions, but risk informed decisions based on what the impact to the business would be should said risk happen within their environment. So managing risk and being able to either mitigate or accept risks is very, very important. There's different ways of being able to help clients do this. One of the things that we've done with some of our clients is going back to NIST CSF is once we did that assessment, we were able to better identify, analyze, and then help them respond. And so one of the things that we did, and we're actually wrapping it up right now, is we did a risk assessment. So we did the CSF assessment, and then we flowed into a risk assessment. What that means, and this took, to give you an idea, this is a smaller client, only around 12 people. We have 4 people on the team that are full-time, and it has taken us about 2 to 3 months approximately to get this, like, from start to final product. Final product is like 20 to 30 pages. I've seen these things go all the way to 80. One of my clients, we had like 80 pages. Why I'm explaining all of this to you is this is not something that you can get done like boom. Like, oh yeah, you've got these risks, you've got this. The reason being is you need to be able to understand not only the risk in the environment, you need to quantify the risk. So you need to understand and be able to tell the client you have these risks that are low, these risks that are high. Those are going to be based on their environment. Every scoring methodology that you use is going to be different. So it takes time to understand and digest those risks. You'll have natural disaster risks. Like if they are in Florida, for example, that is a risk that you have to take into consideration. And then you have things called predisposing conditions that you have to consider. Predisposing conditions, an example of that would be one of my clients was a federal agency and they had top secret information. That means they are predisposed naturally to have higher risk because of the type of information that they have within their environment. So all of these factors, threat actors, natural disasters, and predisposing conditions, you are working with the client, having interviews, and really defining what does a risk in their environment mean. When you are able to define that, what is the next step within that would be, in my opinion, would be to help them establish a way to manage and have oversight and organize and be able to either mitigate or accept those risks. And that's when we get into what I have used before. I find it works very successfully. It does take a little bit of time to establish, and your client has to be able to effectively use it, but it is called a risk register. I would encourage you to dive into NIST 8286. I'm a nerd. I like it. It's a lot of fun to read. I know when you go to the NIST website and look it up, there is a playbook or handbook. If that is much easier to read. But this is where I personally think we need to start going as professionals, is helping clients get into enterprise risk management and start utilizing risk registers as we move into this space. And I'm hoping I have a RSAC talk on this, to be honest with you. I'm taking a sec to look at the questions really quick. So would the CSF be applicable to a small business, or is there some other guidance available for them specifically? I think it's Zalia. If I said that incorrectly, I apologize. Thank you for the question. I think that CSF is ideal for small business. My client that we used it on was, in essence, a small business, and it worked amazingly. I think that you can scale it because of how much flexibility is with it. What's great about CSF, you guys and gals, is that you can add controls to it. You can customize, like, for example, we added privacy control. So we did a CSF and then we got a crosswalk and we did a privacy controls assessment based on what the client wanted. So it's very customizable. Let's just say that. Customizable. Where's my mouse? Brad, when it comes to GRC/policies, the good news is you have lots of starting points that are free open source. Amen on that. This is not a new career field. There's a lot of free stuff. I'm loving all of the data getting shared. Ron's the best. If you guys have other resources that you've used, drop it in the chat. Sharing is caring here. Oh yeah, I love this guy on the right. Who doesn't love Ron? All right, ensuring compliance. Compliance refers to adhering laws, regulations, internal policies. This is where people kind of like, oh, compliance. When you get to the end of the GRC, it's where you help them establish controls. And then when you're doing a helping like establish a GRC framework, a lot of times at the end of it, what you'll see is continuous monitoring. You'll see that all the time. And that goes into helping the organization be able to monitor, and I'm using just compliance as an example, monitor like compliance within their environment. So that could be software compliance, that could be systems compliance, things like that, PCI compliance, for them to be able to stay out of like being impacted by a law or a regulation, like being fined. I work in federal space. I know it's very, very different in the civilian space. The federal space, there are a lot of laws and regulations many times, and a lot of things are changing. And they are becoming stricter on the federal agencies, but a lot of times it was like a slap of the hand, hey, you shouldn't do that within the compliance space, but it's becoming a bigger, they're going to have more compliance and oversight. We're seeing that within like the cybersecurity maturity framework, CMMC, for example. And also within compliance, you'll see if you've got an organization, you see this a lot more in the civilian space. I haven't seen it as much in the federal, but you'll see customized controls. So you help the client create controls that are customized to their environment. And a lot of times they do this so they ensure they align within their whatever is for like their organization as far as compliance. And compliance also impacts like depending on the data you have and depending on the clients that you serve. And if like my clients that state and local has different compliance because they're Department of Human Services. So they assist with like HUD housing, food stamps, healthcare. So just imagine the type of information that they're ingesting within their environment. Number 3 is just letting you know, like those a lot of times compliance, there's a fair factor here of that legal. They don't want to have obviously legal ramifications. So that's the motivator a lot of times within the compliance piece, legal or having fines. And then the last thing, compliance is essential for maintaining trust and integrity within the organization. I agree with that too. So we're going to move on because we're coming up to like, I want to hit a few more things and we're at 20. So let's get into the career ops. All right. I want to leave you with some tips and tricks because I have thrown a ton of information at you. Some career ops. The bottom right here is a great resource. I love. They have a workforce development. It's a nice framework. Right underneath that is cybersn.com. And we'll dive, I think, on another slide about CyberSN and why I love it. But get in there, get knowledgeable. Here are some career ops that I outlined for just some primary jobs that you can search for, like GRC consultant, what it means, a risk manager, what that means, compliance officer, internal auditor, GRC software specialist. So it depends on the organization. Some of these could be entry, some of them couldn't be. It really depends on how the organization is laid out. I can tell you, like an internal auditor, where I am at, that could easily be an entry-level job, just depending on how the job rec was written. Same with a GRC or consultant. So pay attention to that if you're looking to break into this field. So gaining practical experience. So this is a big thing that within this space can be really challenging, and it's really hard because you have that whole, well, I can't get a job if I don't have experience, but how do I get experience without a job? So some practical ways that I would have encouraged you that I have done before that work amazingly is that first one, I love this one, volunteer for an organization that you love and that you're passionate for, and reach out to them and ask them if you can tell them a little bit about yourself and sell them that you are working in the GRC space and that you would like to volunteer your time to help them with their cybersecurity maturity, and that you would like to conduct a CSF assessment, for example, and get some of your other colleagues together, cybersecurity buds, and go and do a CSF assessment. Most organizations, there are a ton of nonprofits. If one says no, keep going. I promise you somebody's going to say yes. That is one of the easiest ways, in my opinion, to get hands-on experience. Look for internships. This one is a little bit more challenging. I have seen internships be more successful for younger people. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody's in chat that has like been able to get an internship as you've gotten older, but it is a good way to break in. Another way, and I think I might have spelled Fiverr wrong, but Fiverr, create an account and then offer services to your friends and family to build your credibility on Fiverr, and then start putting your work out there and getting people to allow you to support them and do it at a really low rate or free. Good. You're just trying to get hands-on experience. The great thing about Fiverr is you can set up an LLC and this can be your company. You can put it on your resume, and the hiring agent isn't going to know otherwise. It's all about how can you show I have experience without that full-time job yet. Another one, big fan of Simply Cyber. Shout out to Jerry Ozier and his community. He has an amazing, amazing course, simplycyber.teachable.com. And I think it's called like the GRC Masterclass. I have taken it. I always encourage people new to this space to take it. Him and Erica McDuffie do a fantastic job with delivering GRC and the baseline understanding of it. So check that out. And I think it's either pay what you can or it's a nominal fee through the Cyber Mentor now. So they've partnered up, but it's not expensive. I would highly encourage it. If you need somebody to sponsor you, reach out to me. I do have a voucher. And you know what? Maybe I'll do a raffle at the end of this to give that away. Woo! All right, last one. All right, write blogs, create content around framework. So what I mean here is we've been talking about CSF. I love NIST. Write a blog about it. Go through, like, write your thoughts on the differences between NIST CSF 1.0 and 2.0, because there are differences. That right there will start showing that you're an expert within this field, and that's critical when you're wanting to brand yourself and putting your information out there. People will start seeing you as an expert, knowledgeable within this space. Then recruiters see that as well. So it's a good way of getting out there, getting that practical experience. One of the last things, navigating the very, very chaotic, hectic job market. So it's challenging, you guys and gals. I know people that have a robust background and they are struggling to find work. So I can only imagine how it would be if you're trying to break in. So give yourself ease and grace, okay? It's not an easy market right now. I would encourage you to, I just did a resume review, or at least put it out. We're doing the live stream on Friday of next week. Attend that, get knowledgeable on how to construct your resume where it can set yourself apart from all of the other people. Also, learn how to write your resume in a way that it won't get dropped from AI. And we can and I'll make sure we talk on that on Friday when we do our live stream, but try to avoid using ChatGPT to write your resume, guys and gals, come on. Use it, it is a useful tool, and it can help you speed it up, but don't have it just write your resume for you. And then when you're having an interview, be honest about like what you've done in the space, but also you're at a community right now, VetSecCon, amazing community. If you're in the Slack channel, reach out, ask somebody to do an interview prep with you, and learn how do you communicate your military skills into the civilian sector. And that's going to be one of the critical things. Soft skills is a great thing to have within GRC. So a lot of times you're that front line with clients. So really, really be honest on learning how to properly communicate those military skills. And then another advice I would give you is look at others that are in the space on LinkedIn, and maybe you want to have a GRC consultant job. So start following people and looking at what they're doing. What data do they have in their LinkedIn like resume section that maybe you could add to your resume if it's valid and truthful and things like that. Or you could update your LinkedIn, because LinkedIn it shouldn't be like written like a resume, but I will tell you, recruiters look at your LinkedIn and use keywords to find people to recruit into jobs. So think about that. And that goes back to that job experience, setting up that Fiverr account, whatever you need to do to start showing you've got that practical experience. And that's that other point, using keywords and set up job alerts. That's for LinkedIn, because that's how recruiters will start to find you. And then the Cyber SN. So make sure you use different titles for your job search. I did a post about this. There was one job title that had 13 other job titles. And a lot of people that are new to this industry, you might be seeing like GRC consultant, but it could be 14 other titles. So don't settle on one thing. Cyber SN also does a fantastic job with not only breaking down like the job title, but the description behind it. So it gives you a better understanding of what you'll actually be doing within the space. And I think that concludes it. What? All right, let me see. I saw the chat kind of going. So how should I do this? Okay, if you guys want a GRC masterclass, type hashtag NIST Rocks into the chat. So hashtag NIST Rocks, and then I'm gonna give it away. So let me get the Will of Life. We've got like 4 minutes to do this. Sorry if I run over. Will of Life. Is it the Will of Life? What is the wheel? What is it? Name picker? Maybe it's a name. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I got it. I got the will. So now I need to get names in here. Okay, I need to remove these names first. Okay. So I'm looking over on my live stream too. Oh, I got it. Okay, I got you. I'm gonna add. Oh, I got more over here. Wow, you guys are rocking. Okay, LinkedIn user. I'm just gonna put LinkedIn user because I don't see your name. It's just coming in as LinkedIn user, unfortunately. Okay, I'm over on my other live stream, just so you guys know. I'm including them. Got to include the entire family in on this. I'm hoping I spell your guys' names right, but if not, you know what I meant. I'm gonna try to do this expedited. Who we got? We got Professor over here. Okay, Pro. Good Lord, Jax, get your life together with typing at the moment. And I'm not even a nervous typer. It doesn't even bother me. But right this moment, I'm like, gotta rush. And okay, got it. Who else? All right, I think I've got everybody. Yeah, got it. Got you, Robert. Got you, McDally. Sorry if I said that wrong. And Professor Roger White on the other stream. I'm coming in over here now. All right, we got Tanner Green. If I spelled your guy's name wrong, I'm rushing through this. So, oh gosh, I gotta scroll up. It's scrolling down. Tanner Green. Okay, Sunny Bookman. Yeah, this was not a prepared thing. So I'm just doing this. Why is this not? Okay, I'm just gonna put Bookman. I think we'll know who you are, Sunny. Can I reach out with some questions? Yes, Chris, reach out to me on questions for sure. Okay, we got Todd Manning. Wheel of Fortune. No, it's like the Wheel of Life. It's kind of like, all right, I got you, Brad. Who do we have? Zalia, and then anybody else? Did I get everybody? Ashley, I got you. I missed you almost. So Ashley, man. Okay. Oh, Lisa. Okay, Chris Y. Let me see. I think, okay, did I get everybody? I'm looking on my other chat right now. You guys good? Ashley, everybody? Okay, I think so. Let me check over here. NIST Rocks. All right. Hi. Okay, I think I've got everybody on the Will of Life. Oh, they can't even see, you guys can't even see the Will of Life on my other chat. Hold on. I got to redo my present. Uno momento. Everybody's got to be involved in this. So let me stop. Let me go back to my shoot. No, I want to share my screen, entire screen. Okay. All right. Here we go. I think I've got everything. Hey, Ednika, I think that's how you say it. Niki, I like it. We'll look forward to. Okay, I think I've got everybody. If I don't, you can reach out to me with hate mail. I promise. Okay, here we go. Let's go. You guys ready? I know it's not this music, but it's okay. Here we go. Oh, yay! Zalia. Yay! I'm so excited for you. So, Zalia, do me a favor and hit me up on this email, jax@outpostgray.com, and I will send you your complimentary code to take Jerry Ozier's GRC class. Awesome. You guys are fantastic. I know I'm 1 minute over. I want to respect your time. So thank you all again for coming and for taking part in this class. And thank you for everybody that was over on my other live stream. And thank you to VetSecCon. And I love you all. You guys know how to reach me. You all are the best. Bye. See ya.